Chapter 351 Tier 4 Promotion Test. You are listening at novelfull.audio. System Notification. Tier 4 Promotion Test starting in 5.4.3.2.1. Good luck, adventurer. Max stood with his legs wide open, anticipating a lightning strike of terrifying might. However, when the attack finally struck, he was unable to even process that it was incoming, as from start to finish all that he saw was a blinding flash of light. Rumble, crackle, thunder. 15,000 Max had just taken on the first lightning strike as he felt a tingling burning sensation all over his body while losing 15,000 HP. The thunder this time was extremely tame, and while it did sting and hurt, Max could feel the same current flowing through his mana veins and muscles as they instantly felt sore, as if he had been intensely training them for hours. It was a sweet pain, the sort that only happened when a torn muscle starts to recover and itches for more training. Max noticed that the lightning was indeed special in this place, as it was not completely imbued with destructive qualities but rather had a balance between creation and destruction. System Notification. Successfully survived 1 out of 10 lightning strikes, survive 5 more to pass this stage and 9 more to get a perfect score. 10, I have to take 10. I suppose I can manage 10 if they don't hurt. Kaboom, thunder. 35,000, fucking hell. Fuck, Max screamed on top of his lungs as a lightning strike much stronger than the one that had struck him a few seconds ago shaved off a significant portion of his HP bar. Just as Max thought he could take these lightning strikes if their power did not increase, he got an emphatically powerful lightning strike in response from the heavens that made his body go numb from head to toe. Max felt his heartbeat increase rapidly, as he activated his flame armor and summoned his skill, Flame Shield, to cover his body from lightning strikes from the heavens. Max was scared. Scared to let yet another lightning strike hit his body and disintegrate him to ashes as he stared towards the skies with conviction. Kaboom, thunder. The lightning strike hit Max's shield head on and forced Max to buckle to one knee as the flame shield held strong and blocked all but a small chunk of 700 damage. System Notification. Successfully survived 3 out of 10 strikes, survive 3 more to pass this stage and 7 more to get a perfect score. Max observed that the strength increase between each subsequent lightning strike was about twice the strength of the previous one. At this rate, the later stage lightning strikes were going to be unfathomably powerful, giving Max near to none chances of having a perfect promotion. Information about how his brother ascended to Tier 4 in the tutorial Omega was always hazy. However, Max did hear him casually mention once that he got a perfect evaluation on the lightning test, as only now did Max realize what it truly meant. His brother had most likely faced a simulation of the real lightning fields within Omega and had somehow walked away having survived all 10 lightning strikes. Kaboom, thunder. As Max was recalling the details of his brother's promotion, the 4th lightning strike hit Max, and this time it was so powerful the soil on which Max stood on began vibrating uncontrollably under the ionizing effect of the thunder. 32,000 Max's flame shield tried to put up its best possible defense, however, it quickly crumpled like a piece of paper trying to stop a flow of a raging river. Luckily for Max, his flame armor was able to absorb a huge portion of the elemental damage, giving only some bearable shocks to Max's body. At least 4 times stronger than the previous one, Max thought as he spat a mouthful of blood and felt his insides turn into a thermal heater, as he felt like he was literally burning from the inside out. System Notification. You have successfully survived 4 out of 10 strikes, survive 2 more to pass this stage and 6 more to get a perfect score. While the first 3 strikes only had an x2 strength multiple, the 4th one was at least 4 times stronger than the 3rd one. This spelt immense trouble for Max, as suddenly reaching even the 6 strikes mark seemed to be impossible with his already halved HP bar. Being in no condition to take an even stronger strike, Max realized that he was quickly running out of options and needed to become creative to tackle this problem. Meanwhile, Severus had managed to infiltrate the Kingsman army as a support staff in charge of cleaning. Inside the army, Severus managed to blend in completely with the high-ranking officials and managed to get a lot of important information from them. He obtained a list of the exact equipment orders that the military had made in the last 3 months as he tried to gain a rough understanding about the Kingsman clan's preparedness for the coming war. Apparently Farid Kingsman was now the biggest player in the Kingsman military as his word had become law. Farid was preparing the Kingsmen for an all-or-nothing war, and Severus could see it from the morale and psyche of the Kingsman warriors that they were highly motivated and in anticipation of war. Each small unit in the Kingsman army performed regular combat drills and high-level training drills to keep soldiers sharp and at peak performance. However, amongst all this, Severus noticed a big flaw within the Kingsman military, which was that because of the war, they had opened the gates to military recruitment for all. Their recruitment process was flawed and did not involve signing a system contract unless one became the rank of a captain or higher. This meant that low-level troops could join their ranks unchecked and unsuppressed. If Max used the opportunity to plant enough sleeper cells within their ranks, he could create mayhem inside the battlefield and men wearing the same color jersey turned on one another. /////A/N. This bonus chapter is sponsored by longtime patron Zippo 2019, please thank him in the comments for the same ////. Chapter 352 Surviving by Any Means Necessary. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Max assessed his situation after the fourth lightning strike and realized that he had no direct means to handle the power of the lightning from the sky. He was not sure if he was allowed to use indirect means to block the lightning or not, but at the moment it seemed like a better option than being roasted alive, so he decided to take the gamble. Giant summoning. Max summoned his 3 giants and asked the first giant to stand over him in such a way that Max was sheltered under his legs, and then told the other 2 to do the same and wrap arms around each other's shoulders to create an umbrella-type layer of extra protection. Kaboom! Thunder lightning struck the 3 giants above him, and a second later Max heard a loud thud. The massive giants had become paralyzed and their humongous HP pools were reduced to a critically red HP bar. Even with the 3 of them sharing the load, all 3 were barely alive. System notification. You have survived the 5th lightning strike. Survive 1 more to pass the trial and 5 more for a perfect score. Max's breathing quickened. Thankfully he was not penalized for using indirect means to deal with the lightning, which meant that he could pull 1 more trick off to at least survive this stage. The gears in his head turned at full speed, trying to think of what more he could do to survive the lightning. As in his focused state, Max did not notice the qualitative changes taking place inside his body. His body had started to digest the latent thunder energy of this special lightning, as his body was finally moving away from the realm of a mere mortal to the realm of a demi-god. Tier 4 was a benchmark that separated the best from the rest. In the wide universe where trillions of individuals resided, only a few million were ever able to reach the Tier 4 realm. Those warriors that did reach this threshold were considered important assets of any army/organization in the world. A qualitative change occurred inside an individual when they turned from Tier 3 to Tier 4, which was primarily in their rate of utilization of mana. At Tier 4 a warrior's mana veins widened and was capable of handling a much more robust load, which made them capable of producing spells with large-scale destruction capabilities. If the mana veins of a Tier 3 warrior were like a house tap, whose maximum flow rate could only tickle the skin, the mana veins of a Tier 4 warrior were like a fire hose that could cut through stone. A similar change also occurred inside one's muscle structure as the muscles became much more elastic and dense, giving the warrior the capability to express his slash or explosive strength much better. While Max did not understand that he was evolving in real time, his body became better and purer every passing second. For saving himself from the last mandatory attack, Max closed his eyes and activated his Way of the Wind to the maximum. In one hand he prepared his Inferno spell alongside fire compression, ready to unleash it towards a lightning strike the second he sensed it coming. Max had already tried thrice to see if he could actually see the attack incoming, but he could not. His eyes were not fast enough to catch the movement of incoming lightning, and hence he now had to rely on his Way of the Wind for sensing the attack before it came. With his eyes closed, Max could feel every leaf movement swaying to the wind, alongside every droplet of water forming within the clouds above his head. His hyper senses felt overexert while tracking so many objects at once as Max's back became drenched in sweat. He technically had only one single shot to counter the lightning as it struck, and if he missed the timing by even a split second he would definitely end up getting hit by the attack. FRRR kaboom, thunder laboom. Max sensed a slight vacuum pocket being created high above his head, as he instantly released the compressed inferno spell, hoping that the lightning strike had indeed been formed. Everything moved so fast, that even Max himself was only able to witness the subsequent explosion which occurred when his fire met with the thunder from the sky and created a streak of beautiful fireworks. His attack, which was around peak tier 4/early tier 5 strength, was actually neutralized by the lightning strike, as Max did end up still getting a small electrical buzz from the remnant energy as he received a 0.2000 damage. Max's eyes widened in surprise. Just the sixth attack in the sequence was strong enough to reach tier 5 strength, which meant that the subsequent attacks would undoubtedly transcend into the realm of the true gods. System notification. You have successfully survived 6 out of 10 lightning strikes and have passed this trial with a C grade evaluation. You may choose to stop now or receive the 7th strike. Do you wish to end the trial now? Yes, no. Max read the notification with much relief. However, the C grade evaluation part bothered him a lot. Max had already pushed himself to his absolute limits and was not sure that he could do anything new that would help him survive the 7th strike, which was sure to be much more powerful than the 6th one, but in retrospect he knew that he would rather die than be mediocre in this lifetime. He was not settling for a C grade evaluation, and even if it killed him he was going to persistently keep pushing forward. Selecting No, Max gritted his teeth and began preparing yet another inferno spell enhanced by the fire compression spell, hoping that the clash of the two attacks will give him half a second to prepare a subsequent attack that would further reduce the power of the 7th lightning strike. /////A/N. This chapter marks the 50 chapter mark for this month, which is the highest ever recorded pace, with 2 weeks still left to go for this month. Let's go, guys. ////. Chapter 353 Stubborn Refusal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Based on his Way of the Wind skill that could be used to sense the lightning strikes coming, Max keenly waited for the 7th attack to strike. Kaboom! Thunder. Max sensed the vacuum in the air and reacted instantly, releasing his very powerful inferno spell that was enhanced by both the power of the Agni, Astra and fire compression. However, the attack traveled even faster than Max could ever react to at his level, with the collision of the two blasts occurring only about 3 feet above his head. Max felt blazing heat from the inferno spell quickly being dispelled by an eerie thunder that resulted in a fireworks-type explosion. Foolish Max was blasted by the residual lightning and blown away for about 20 before beginning to roll on the grassland like a tossed ragdoll. 0.75000 critical hit. Max could no longer feel his arms and legs. He had become temporarily paralyzed from the neck down. His HP bar was at an alarmingly low level of 3% as he tethered on the edge of life and death. If there was one single reason why Max survived this lightning strike, whose strength rivaled a peak tier 5 attack, it was because of his unbelievably strong constitution. Every single stat point he had struggled for while training for stat maximization in the University for Nourishment of Young Talents, every single painful moment that he had to suffer while his 2 race change procedures as well as the reward from the Dragon King all contributed equally towards helping Max survive today. Had it been any other tier 3 warrior in this position except for Max, they would have died and disintegrated by now. System notification. You have survived the 7th lightning strike. Your evaluation has improved from C to A. Do you wish to proceed to strike 8? Yes, no. Max tried to move his arms to touch the system screen in front of him, but no matter how hard he tried he couldn't even lift a single finger. It seemed like this was the absolutely last lightning strike that Max was lucky to survive. However, he was not ready in his heart to accept an A-ranked evaluation. Max had worked too hard in his second life to settle for an A grade and pass out on the class-specific rewards that one only got for S-ranked evaluations and higher. Banging his head against the grass, Max willed his body to obey his mind and somehow forced his right hand, which felt as heavy as lead, to press on the yes option. Max could practically see Sebastian looking down on him at this moment, as what Max did was not the way of the coward. However, what Sebastian and Kremeth did not understand was that Max was already the ultimate coward. In his first life, Max ran away from all his challenges like a coward, which was the only reason why he ended up as the pathetic man that he did. He let his ex-girlfriend abuse him, he severed his ties with his only blood relative in his brother, and chose to pack his bags and become a government employee when the Earthlings who had always been his fans and supporters started calling him trash. Max could not handle the criticism in his past life, he could not truly become happy for the success of his brother, he could not get himself to push past those problems and live up to his potential. He was a coward, who ran away every time the situation became tough, up until the moment where he fought against the werewolves in a desperate attempt to save his niece and nephew. It was this experience of his past life that restrained Max from truly becoming a coward, as while he did embrace Kremeth's teachings and found them logical, he felt something innately wrong with himself whenever he decided to go against his immense desire to become something more than mediocre. Max had an inbuilt thirst for adventure, and somewhere deep inside his mind he believed that he would be happier being dead than live and see scenes like his niece and nephew being dragged away in front of his eyes, while being helpless to save them. Max wanted to risk his life if it meant achieving greater heights. He wished to strive and improve himself every day to one day become the best, for it was not enough to become the rising star of the vampire clan, only by becoming the vampire king could his thirst truly be quenched. Balling his fists, Max used his newest acquisition. Perfect cloning. As Max used this spell, he felt a large amount of mana being drained away from his body as it magically started to materialize into a 6'4", perfect replica of Max without the mask and armor. The clone was truly perfect to the very last detail, as for a second Max felt like he was staring at the feet of his own reflection in the mirror. Max stared into his clone's eyes as he saw the same fire inside him that he did feel himself. If you feel my passion and are truly me, find a way to get me through this today, or it's the end of both you and me. Max said as he instructed his clone, who instantly activated the same skills as Max by summoning the giants and closing his eyes to detect the incoming strike using Way of the Wind. While the clone awaited the incoming strike, he started spamming chain heal spells to try and heal Max. Max, who saw the clone's posture, the exact same one that he used, felt like he was having a déjà vu, as this was exactly how Drax looked while fighting with him inside the mirror world. The chain heals helped Max feel less and less like his arms were filled with lead, as slowly but surely his HP started to climb, reaching 7% before he saw the dimly lit surroundings become pitch white for a second. Kaboom! Thunder! The 8th strike had been unleashed. /////A/N. This bonus chapter is sponsored by the top patron Cervantes91, please thank him in the comments for the same /////. Chapter 354 Psychological Horror. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Max lifted his body off the ground as if trying to do the last push-up after an intense set where the muscles felt extremely fatigued, as he stared at the back of his clone standing underneath the body of a single giant. Max was surprised to see his clone reuse the same skill that was on cooldown for himself, as he realized that the clone was its own entity and could use the spells which Max had already exhausted. The only things that separate Max from his clone were the equipment he was wearing and the Agni Astra, as his clone was incapable of using fire spells that were exclusive to the Agni Astra. Kaboom! Thunder! A blinding flash covered the entire fields of thunder as the 8th and the most devastatingly powerful strike yet rained down upon Max and his clone. The lightning strike first hit the body of the giant, disintegrating the massive beast within a second as it continued to travel underneath, where it was blocked by Max's clone, who had prepared an energy blast in the 1 second that the lightning took to travel from the sky to disintegrating the giant. The spell, Energy Blast, was only a tier 3 spell which could not hold a candle to the power of the lightning strike, but the clone had extremely cleverly angled the attack such that it only deflected the lightning strike away from Max's body. The clone succeeded in his endeavor partly, as while the lightning strike's path did alter by a very slight margin, it was still not enough to completely miss Max, as the clone was forced to become a human shield for Max, as he took the blow straight to his chest, flame shield. Max watched in horror as the lightning strike pierced a hole straight through the clone's chest as the blood that was supposed to drip from the clone's body because of the massive wound vaporized from the energy. The clone received critical damage and his perfectly full HP bar turned dangerously red extremely quickly. Max barely managed to block the 8th strike by deploying the flame shield once more to block the residual power of the attack as he managed to come out of this round of lightning strike relatively unscathed. "Quick, drink my blood," the clone said as Max saw his eyes zooming in and out of consciousness as he selflessly decided to sacrifice himself to save Max. Max felt goosebumps arise all over his skin when he heard his clone speak in his own voice, as Max reluctantly plunged his fangs into his clone's neck as he began devouring the clone's blood. System notification. You have survived the 8th round of the lightning strike. Your evaluation has been improved from A to S grade. Do you wish to continue onwards to the 9th strike? Yes, no. Max saw the system notification and chose to ignore it for a split second as he rapidly regained HP from absorbing and drinking his clone's blood. He had finally reached S-grade evaluation and it had cost him a divine spell to reach this length, and even then it was only barely possible. Even with his clone by his side, 2 of Max's were not enough to stand the power of a tier 6 strength attack. Logically, there was no wisdom for Max to continue, but S-ranked evaluation was not enough for the future Vampire King aspirant. Max felt his clone die by his own hands in what was a psychologically disturbing experience as his HP bar recovered to 53%. Clicking yes, Max decided to continue the trial as he decided that while he himself was incapable of passing the trial by his own strength, there was a certain shaman god whose strength he could rely upon to pass this stage. To summon Angekok he needed to sacrifice half his HP bar, half his stamina bar and half his mana bar. Currently he had barely enough HP to summon Angekok, but doing so would put him back at the 3% bar, which was extremely low. If Angekok took even the slightest bit of damage with his frail body, Max would die while not even being in control of his own body. But despite understanding the risks fully well, he chanted the ancient spell. "O Holy One, the progenitor of all shamans, your descendants call for your help. In exchange for my vitality, my mana and my vigor, grant me your immense powers, for my enemies need to be destroyed. Heed my call, for I know your name, Angekok, the shaman god, the enslaver of the Kraken and the slayer of the sea god Poseidon. Heed my call." Max chanted the spell and underwent the procedure he was all too familiar with as his consciousness was pulled into an cosmic space where he was face to face with the purple-eyed god Angekok. The 2 of them stared into each other's eyes momentarily before Angekok waved his hand off and sent Max to the white space as Max once again had to play the waiting game. This was the 3rd time he had summoned Angekok's power, and it was like a drug he could not rid himself of. Every time he used Angekok's powers, he promised to himself that he would no longer be reliant on him for everything, but somehow he always ended up using it when the situation demanded it. Angekok's POV, Angekok inspected Max's body as momentarily he was angered to see the boy inside the Fields of Thunder attempting a tier promotion. In Angekok's mind, Max was a long way from stat maximization based on his last takeover of the body. However, his anger turned into a pleasant surprise as he found that Max had indeed achieved stat maximization in such a short period of time. Kaboom! Thunder! The 9th lightning strike rained down from the heavens as Angekok leisurely looked at it fall in slow motion before raising his hand as he said, "Begone." The lightning strike, carrying the power of a peak tier 6 strike, dispelled just like that upon Angekok's command as he helped Max survive the 9th strike with just a simple word. Angekok had a deeply vested interest in Max, and for his own purposes, he wanted Max to become as powerful as possible, which was the only reason why he would not let Max fail here. "Bring the divine punishment," Angekok said to the heavens, which was the name of the 10th lightning strike, which was golden in color and carried the judgment of the heavens for someone who had the power of gods while being immortal. BDNVL.M Angekok was a god from the Chaos era. in his times the fields of lightning were always packed with challengers trying to get promoted, as he himself was one such challenger who had reached Tier 4 in this very field a few thousand years ago. At the time, Angekok was not privy to the secrets of the universe, as he did not understand the true meaning behind the 10 strikes. For anyone capable of handling 6 strikes, they were considered worthy of becoming Tier 4. For anyone capable of handling 7 strikes, they were considered extraordinary and revered in the universe. For anyone capable of handling 8 strikes was considered once in a 100 years prodigy and was the highest level of genius that was possible at Tier 3. Nobody ever survived the 9th strike in his era unless they were a being that defied the laws of the universe themselves, which is why the 9th strike was called the strike of fear. It was the universe being afraid of an individual having potential to overthrow gods while being an ant-like mortal. The 10th strike, however, was a myth that nobody ever experienced. It was called divine punishment, an attack created by the heavens themselves to suppress an individual whose ascension could potentially break the balance of the universe. In the entire history of the universe there were only 2 individuals who had ever rumored to have received divine punishment. The first was the unnamed god, and the second was Cain, both being individuals who ended up disrupting the universal order after the Chaos Era ended. Angekok himself only reached the 9th strike, however. For Max, he wanted to complete the 10th one to steal the power of soul hidden within the 10th strike and turn him into a genuine powerhouse. Chapter 355 Tier 4 Promotion Complete. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bring on the divine punishment. Angekok boldly challenged the heavens as he began amassing mana from the surroundings. As he amassed more and more mana, the lush green grass around his feet started to turn pitch black, as with every passing second more and more grass turned black in what seemed to be a shamanic ritual. Angekok was absorbing the life out of every living creature around him, which happened to be the grass, as he formed a small sphere of life in his left palm. The sphere, which was the size of a marble, at first grew at an incredible pace, turning into a massive sphere the size of a football field within one single minute. The grass around the entire Fields of Thunder was killed by Angekok as he turned a vast and expansive field to a graveyard of death just to ensure he had enough power to deal with the divine punishment. Kaboom! Thunder! A golden lightning bolt descended from the heavens and hit Angekok's sphere of life, where it underwent purification. For a moment, Angekok felt like spitting a mouthful of blood as he was unable to bear the pressure of the attack, as Max's weak body was not made to deal with such enormous pressure forces. Only by burning his own divine essence, which was an asset that Max could not replenish no matter how hard he tried to, did Angekok survive the load as the golden lightning was finally purified. The heavens did not wish for Max to receive a perfect score. It was not sensible for such an existence to roam freely in the universe. However, Angekok had other plans. Not only did he neutralize the destructive energy of the lightning bolt using the life energy of the grass, he peacefully let the residual lightning energy hit Max's body because he knew it was an extremely beneficial resource. Angekok circulated the thunder energy within Max's body, making sure that it permeated through every muscle, every skin pore and every cell of his body. Angekok could feel the beneficial characteristics that the thunder brought for Max, as he felt a little envious to not have a foundation as strong as this one himself. However, soon he dismissed this idea, as he knew that this would somehow end up helping himself in the end. Making sure that the trial was over and Max was alive, Angekok cut the connection of the summoning, allowing Max to retake control of his body a full 30 seconds before the 5-minute summoning time was up. System notification. You have cleared the Tier 4 promotion test with a perfect score. Congratulations on successfully passing the trial final evaluation. SSS, your debt to the Blood Shaman God is 12 million units of mana. Max woke up to 2 very contrasting notifications, as he did not understand whether to laugh or to cry. On one hand, he cleared the trial with a perfect score, an achievement that would help him lay a solid foundation for his future path. On the other hand, he incurred a massive short-term debt to a powerful entity. Currently, Max's majority liquidity was tied up with the army and its daily operations, and he had no means to raise enough money to buy enough potions to pay the debt off. For this reason and this reason only, the incredible joy of clearing the Tier 4 promotion test with a perfect score dampened by a lot. Max decided to worry about it later as he began inspecting his body, feeling an uneasy surge of energy from within himself as he felt like he was physically changing at a rate visible to naked eyes. System notification. Congratulations player, Raven, to successfully promoting to Tier 4 distributing rewards. Meanwhile Dragoon, he survived the Golden Lightning. Dragoon asked in a surprised voice as he had not expected Max to perform so well in the trial. Little was hidden from Dragoon's eyes, and when he inspected Max, he saw everything about his status panel as he understood that Max was a balanced player who was inclined towards being more of a support role character. He did not have the AoE and PvP spells needed to become a frontline assaulter, which made it difficult for him to perform well in trials like the Fields of Thunder, where powerful attacks was the only key to neutralizing the Heaven's attacks. In Dragoon's understanding of the situation, he should have barely passed the trial. However, the boy far exceeded his expectations, as his own daughter, who he called a once-in-a-millennium genius, only managed to go as far as the 9th strike. Dragoon had purposefully made the pilot of his ship stay back and keep an eye out on Max as he wanted to know the results of this trial. Depending on the results, he wanted to make his decision about letting the boy live or die. However, his practical combat ability to kill a Tier 6 dragon at Tier 3 coupled with his ability to survive the 10th strike made Dragoon question his decision to kill Max. While he hated the connection he had with his daughter, Dragoon also acknowledged Max's worth. If allowed to grow enough, he could one day prove an invaluable ally to her daughter, which was why the Dragon King decided to leave him alone for the time being. Your orders, my king. The golden-haired pilot, who was actually a Tier 6 god who was secretly undercover, said through the communication orb. Let him go, drop him at any planet that he requests to go, and give him some healing potions if he needs them. The boy is special, let him live for now, Dragoon said as he passed his final verdict on the situation. For now, Max was allowed a free pass by the Dragon King for his heaven-defying competence. ///////n. Tomorrow is an important day, the voting day for Max's future powers. Please do cast your votes within the time limit of 14.20 hours so that chapters can progress as normal. There will be no bonuses given tomorrow, for appropriate time needs to be given for all votes to be casted /////. Chapter 356 Rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. System notification. Congratulations player, Raven, to successfully promoting to Tier 4 distributing rewards. Fixed promotion rewards. 1. All stats times 2. Gained resistance against corruption and power of death. 3. All bodily functions improve, mana can now be substituted for food and energy until a certain limit. Secondary rewards based on performance. 1. Mana stat additional multiplier times 1.52, the power of all existing spells has been increased by 25%. 3. Agility stat multiplier times 1.54, muscle elasticity and explosive strength improve drastically. 5. You have gained high thunder resistance. Optional rewards. Choose any 3 out of these 5 spell choices. Nature Whisperer. Command nature to bend to your will, stop tearing winds, calm raging seas, summon rain clouds at will, amongst many other abilities. Thunder Blast. Summon a bolt of lightning from the sky and blast your enemies using it. Dancer's Footwork. Activate this ability to increase speed and evasion by 50% for 5 minutes. Can help the user to get an upper hand in a rough battle for both offense and defense purposes. Telepathy. Speak into anyone's mind that you wish to speak without needing to utter a single word. Range. 100 kilometers at basic mastery, Buddha's avatar. Turn into the ultimate defensive avatar where you can tank damage for a long period of time. Skill duration. 15 minutes. Effects. Defense times 2, vitality times 5 during this duration. SSS class special reward. Choose any 2 out of 4 skill options. Ice World. Instantly freeze anything and everything around you for a 500 meters radius. A great move for retreating when surrounded from all sides. Pound for pound. The most feared skill of the ancient god Angakok that was recorded into the history books. Sacrifice a beast which is 2 tiers below the user, to claim an equivalent tiered enemy life. Illusion space. Drag your enemy into an imaginary space that you control for battle. Always have the advantage of terrain and rest assured about having no foreign intervention with this skill under your belt. Restrictions. You cannot drag anyone above your tier into the illusionary world. Disperse. An elite move used by only the most precise warriors, it involves locating the choke point of any attack and breaking it by attacking its critical point. Done correctly, it can even neutralize tier 5 attacks with minimal effort. Warning. The slightest mistake will lead to skill failure. Max read the description of all his rewards as he nodded in satisfaction. Angakok did him a solid favor on this one, as only by having a perfect evaluation did the system give him the option to choose his class-specific skills. At an A-grade evaluation he was not eligible for a single class-specific skill, at an S-grade evaluation he got a single class-specific skill without any option, at SS evaluation he got 2 class-specific skills without any options, but only at SSS rating did he have the ability to choose his class-specific skills. Although the price of this skill choice was massive, it was worth it in Max's eyes now that he saw the options. Apart from the skill choices, Max was also very impressed by the tier-up rewards as his agility and mana stat gained a huge improvement. Max could feel the qualitative change in his body as it felt lighter and better. If you were to compare how he felt now compared to a few minutes ago, it would feel like he was on drugs before, his senses numb and his reactions slow, but he had truly awoken now, aware of his every cell and muscle. The effects of stat maximization were clearly evident at this instant as Max could see his stat points compounding to give him a massive edge over the other warriors at the same tier. Even at the very base of tier 4, his strength rivaled the peak of the tier. Just as Max had this thought, the system finally released his latent EXP reward that Mira had been storing for him since he was stuck at the peak of tier 3, as the massive EXP pool from killing the tier 6 dragon finally panned out. System notification. You have gained 70 levels at once. Distributing corresponding free stat points, Max watched as he gained an absolutely crazy amount of levels at once, with 6 free stat points distributed for every level up at tier 4, giving him a total of 420 free points to distribute at will. Satisfied with his physical condition completely, Max finally mulled over the pressing question of choosing his skills, as he began to seriously evaluate the pros and cons of every option. Meanwhile, Asiva, where is Max? All he left was a letter, but he's gone for over 3 days now. Asiva asked Sebastian, hoping he would have some answers. I have no idea either, it's unlike him to leave in such a haste. Do you think the letter left behind is fake? Sebastian wondered, as the situation he feared the most was that Max was in some trouble, but they were waiting like dumb fucks. No, the letter was definitely written by him. I know his handwriting. Also he writes you as you, an annoying habit he picked up on Earth, Asiva said as she reassured Sebastian that he was definitely not lost. The troops are beginning to notice his absence. I've been asked 12 times today where Captain Raven might be. For now I've handled the situation, but if this goes on for too long we will have trouble, Sebastian said as he informed Asiva about the suspicions arising within the troops. One day. We wait one more day before starting a search mission. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, Asiva said, finally giving her verdict. May the cowardice be with you. Amen, Sebastian replied as he prayed to his master Kremeth to keep Max safe. /////A/N. Guys, it's your time to shine. You all know the drill. Time to put in your votes in the comments section, and as usual the highest voted skills shall get chosen. The time limit this time is 15 hours, hopefully we all vote within the time limit. Let's go. I encourage maximum participation ////. Chapter 357 makes sense. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Max started to analyze his options, starting from the normal skills. He could choose any 3 out of the 5 normal skills presented to him. However, for the first time ever he saw an option pool so perfectly tailored for himself that he needed all 5 of them to become a better warrior. Nature's Whisperer was a move that was extremely versatile. It could be used in a plethora of situations and could greatly affect large-scale warfare. Max could potentially summon rain on a fiery battlefield, or start a strong windstorm when facing a rain of arrows, or summon large amounts of haze or mist to distort long-range vision. The practical applications were endless and it was a good move to have under one's belt. Thunder Blast was his brother's attack, one of his favorite ones at that, which could be used to deal tremendous amounts of damage to a single target. Currently, Max was sorely lacking in an offensive type move after his slow and gradual fallout as a swordsman, as he only relied on the power of the Agni Astra to defeat powerful enemies for now. Having Thunder Blast would mean he would have one more elemental attack to hit his enemies with and turn the tide of a difficult 1 versus 1 battle. But at the same time, he also needed a footwork technique like the Dancer's Footwork. The burst of speed it provided could be used to turn the tide of a 1 versus 1 battle or used to evade a fast barrage of attacks. Having no footwork technique for now, Max was also in heavy need of this technique. If the choice between these 3 options was not hard enough, telepathy was basically a spell Max would pay 100 million gold coins for in a heartbeat if a skill scroll was made for it. The move had just so many practical applications, especially in war when he could not always scream on top of his lungs to communicate with his friends who were fighting 100 meters away from him. The ability to mentally communicate and relay orders could help Max organize critical counterattacks, or retreat strategies without alerting the enemy, a very useful move in that regard. The last move option was a defensive move called Buddha's Avatar. It was another type of move that Max had none of and was in desperate need for. For 15 minutes his HP pool and defense would go through the roof, allowing him to play the role of a tank class player as a shaman. In situations where he could not kill the enemy, or was outmatched completely, this could be the move that would provide him with the edge to stay alive and hold on, until help potentially arrived. Max felt a headache incoming as he tried to choose the best moves out of these 5 extraordinary moves, as he truly needed all 5 but unfortunately could only choose 3. The first move Max picked was Buddha's Avatar, solely because it was a survival move that could help him stay alive in critical situations. Even in this trial, if he had one such move he would have been able to tank more hits. The second move that Max picked was Nature's Whisperer. The reason was because the practical applications were endless and not dependent on offensive or defensive type situations. He could use it to alter 1 versus 1 battle, large-scale battle and much more. The final move that Max chose was Thunder Blast, as while it was a close tie with Dancer's Footwork, since he did not have a necessary sword skill to express Dancer's Footwork to its maximum efficiency, he needed to rely on a direct attack to improve his immediate need for proper offense. Selecting these 3 options on the system screen, Max's fingers trembled in regret as he saw the telepathy and Dancer's Footwork options go dark. He truly needed both of them as well. Moving on, Max casted his look on the class-specific rewards and his heart started to beat out of his chest. All 4 of them were amazing moves, all 4 extremely useful, and regardless of which 2 he ended up with, it was going to increase his warfare ability to the next level. Meanwhile, Julian Caesar, Patriarch, we have received a very interesting information report on Captain Raven, as after a lucky breakthrough we have some facts to present before you that might astonish you, the head of the Caesar Clan Intelligence Bureau said as he piqued Julian's interest. Speak, Julian said, leaning towards the information head with interest, as ever since the Vampire King had assigned him the mission to sniff out Captain Raven's secret, he had divulged a large amount of money and resources for the cause. We were investigating the reason behind why the True Elites Guild would not take up the assassination mission of Raven even when we were ready to pay them a premium and they had the services of the infamous assassin the Ball Crusher amongst their ranks. Turned out the reason behind why they did so was because the little brother of Shikuni the Terrifying, Max Rajput, paid a personal visit to the Guild Master's office at the True Elites headquarters, the information head said as Julian raised an eyebrow in surprise. Max Rajput. Is he a god I'm supposed to know about? Julian asked, wondering if Shikuni's brother was as impressive as him. No, he's not a god, his exact power level is unknown since he is a truly low-key figure for being the brother of Shikuni. However, the point here is that he has a deep connection with Raven. Our confirmed sources within the St. Maximus clan have said that the only reason they procured the true Elite's destroyer-class battleships was because their patriarch Sam struck a deal with Shikuni after the two brawled over something on Green Soil Planet. The same Green Soil Planet where Raven was allowed to build a temporary base. We thought about it a lot. Shikuni truly had no reason to go to Green Soil and cause trouble for the St. Maximus clan unless they were holding his brother there. Our guess is that the St. Maximus madman had unknowingly captured Shikuni's brother, a human, and turned him into a vampire. At first we felt like we were grasping at straws, but a lucky breakthrough had us confirm with an elder of the St. Maximus clan who we just turned as our informant and was present there on Green Soil when Shikuni attacked, that it was indeed because of his brother being held hostage inside a secret research facility there. Apparently he was a part of a human experiment being run by Severus St. Maximus, the same man who is Raven's known associate and his girlfriend Asiva's godfather. The reason behind us not being able to find the vampire clan supporting Raven from the shadows is because Raven was not a vampire to begin with. The rising star without a surname is actually a human, and the brother of Shikuni the terrifying nonetheless, the informant declared with a smug smile on his face as Julian had goosebumps all over his skin hearing this conclusion. If Raven had such a profound background, then his sudden success made a lot of sense. Chapter 358 Final Selection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Max tried to differentiate the pros and cons of the 4 class-specific moves that he could choose from, and after a lot of introspection he was able to make a list. Max knew the move, Ice World, from Omega. A very famous player named King of Ice used this attack, and there were a lot of legendary clips of him on the forums using this attack in large-scale battles. The move was very powerful and could completely halt troop movement for a few seconds for strong troops while completely incapacitating weak ones. Many fighters were reluctant to fight the King of Ice at close range because of this exact move, and while it was an AoE spell that did not deal immense damage by itself, it did create an opportunity to deal immense damage when used correctly by incapacitating enemy movement. There was even an infomercial in his past life which Max vividly remembered where the King of Ice was on a beach and a hot girl told him that the sun was too hot, so he used the move Ice World, converting the beach into a snowpark. It was a cringe snowpark ad, but very funny, which is why it was stuck in Max's head for so long. The second move on the options list was Pound for Pound, one of the very few moves actually recorded off Angakok, so probably a move he used late into the Chaos era, undoubtedly one of his most crucial moves. It was a broken ability that would allow Max to slaughter millions at once without even fighting. Theoretically, if Max was able to procure 1,000,000 Tier 2 rabbits, he could use Pound for Pound and kill those 1,000,000 rabbits to kill a subsequent number of soldiers on the enemy side. He could change the tide of mass-scale battles with this move under his belt, but while if done correctly it could be game-changing, it was not as easy as it seemed. There were not many species in the universe at Tier 2 that were extremely weak, more so at Tier 4 and higher. If Max commissioned a job to capture 1,000,000 Tier 2 creatures, he would need to pay at least 10 gold coins a creature to be captured alive and wait for 1.3 years for so many to be collected. Accumulating such a large collection of creatures, keeping them alive and feeding them until the day of the sacrifice was a massive headache plus a huge expense on his end. Since he would not always have such time to prepare thoroughly for a war, the move had a serious disadvantage attached. But given enough time, it could floor an army of tens of millions within minutes. The third option was Illusion Space, a move much like the Mirror World which allowed Max to drag a single opponent until his tier to be dragged into an alternate world that he controlled to have a 1 versus 1 uninterrupted combat. Since he controlled the world, it could always be altered to his advantage. Mountains could be created out of nowhere and reality could be bent to cater to his liking. If Max ever faced an opponent within his tier who was stronger than him, then this was the one move that could give him the edge to beat that person in battle. While there may not be many individuals like that at Tier 4, at Tier 7 and 8 where there was very little in terms of talent separating the warriors, it could prove to be an invaluable spell to have under his belt. The last move he needed to consider was, Disperse. Max did not understand why this was a class-specific attack, since he was sure that his master Kremeth had perfected this attack while not belonging to the shaman class. Max had asked Kremeth to teach him this attack, but the old turtle had refused to do so, stating the reason behind the refusal being that it was impossible for Max to learn the move at his then Tier 2 power level. Kremeth had described him about the move though, where he explained that while mana-based attacks were created out of thin air and took physical form carrying power, they had small imperfections within their formation, especially when the caster of the move had only basic or intermediate mastery of the attack. If one was able to detect these micro-imperfections and target them perfectly, they could break the attack as a whole without taking damage. This technique was applicable to sword chi slashes, attacks like Fireball and Fireblast, as well as complex attacks like Meteor Rain. It was the pinnacle of neutralizing powerful PvP spells, however, there was a significant risk behind executing the move. If one did not target the exact weak link where there was a micro-imperfection while using Disperse, they would face the full brunt of the blast and take significant damage. Defensive moves like Block, while basic and not so effective, still had a very high success rate, which meant that even though the user might take damage, they would be able to negate a major portion of it every time. Eddie faced with a dilemma, Max thought long and hard about which moves to select out of the 4, and after much consideration Max chose his first choice to be Illusion Space. The move was sure to become a key part of his arsenal throughout his journey and had many applications from day one. While Ice World and Pound for Pound were excellent moves that could bolster Max's overall combat ability, in the end Disperse was the most appealing option in Max's psyche because he had seen his master Kremeth use it and regard it highly as an attack. With this his Tier 4 promotion was officially complete. ////A/N. Thank you all for voting. All your votes have been tallied and this time the voting was very close with hardly 3.4 votes separating all 4 choices, but in the end the top 2 choices were selected. I'll attach the new stat panel in the space below, do check it out if you want to ////. Chapter 359 Bodyguard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Paradis capital. Sam made an unannounced visit to the Paradis capital after discovering the leak within his administration, as Asiva was shocked to receive the patriarch of the St. Maximus clan on such short notice. Sam was a bit puzzled as to why Raven was not present on the planet, as he and Asiva delved into a deep discussion regarding the recent events on both sides and the precarious position they were in. Asiva was shocked to learn about the leak in the St. Maximus administration and asked Sam why was everyone not bound with system contracts, and eventually received a complicated answer which basically meant that sometimes one needed to do some wrongs to aim for the greater good. What it translated to was that corruption was necessary for the politicians to survive in a comfortable life, and while the bottom rung of administration had to be bound by system contracts, after a certain level it all ran on trust. Asiva was borderline disgusted by such a form of ruling, but when Sam confessed that it was the same way under her father and every other clan, she could not believe her ears. Apparently, the meager salary of a minister with no flexibility to wield power as they wished did not motivate truly talented people to work for the government and nobles to actively participate in politics. To maintain peace, freedom to do as they pleased within limits and trust was important to keep an administration flowing. Asiva had to swallow the hard pill as she realized that once she had her own administration she would probably face the same difficulties as she tried to gain Sam's insights into these problems and how to solve them. Being a long-time patriarch, Sam had seen all sorts of things and was a veteran in the vampire world. There was little that could faze him, and he honestly imparted his experience to the willing Asiva. But aside from this topic, the pressing question was Max's whereabouts and whether or not he was safe. Just as Asiva was going to consult Sam on whether or not she should launch a search operation, an attendant announced the arrival of Captain Raven in the palace as Asiva rushed to meet him, forgetting etiquette and leaving Sam all by himself. "Are you okay? Where have you been? Are you okay? Are you hurt?" Max was bombarded by 3 similar questions from Asiva, Sebastian and Anna, who seemed to have rushed from whatever they were doing to meet him. Anna was holding an uncapped pen in her hands, clearly showing that she was signing some documents before running to meet Max. Sebastian was only half dressed, his hairy chest on full display, as Max did not even want to think what he was doing before running to meet him, while Asiva seemed to be panting as if she had run a long distance. "Geez guys, relax, let me breathe some air, I'm fine," Max said as he gestured towards his shadow, which looked to be abnormally dark compared to the others in the room. "Come out, greet them," Max said as a black-haired man with bronze skin and deep black eyes came out of Max's shadow, studying everyone present in the room carefully. "Meet Zippo, a member of the Black Dragon clan and a peak tier 5 shadow assassin. Aunt Rhea assigned him to me for my safety. I'm safer than ever now," Max said as Zippo silently slid back into Max's shadow without interacting with anyone. The atmosphere turned awkward because of his actions as Max coughed and said, "Zippo is a man of action, he doesn't waste his breath on pointless words." Max knew he was going to be flooded with a million questions as he felt an incoming headache, but before the others could voice their questions, Max noticed Sam St. Maximus standing across the room as Max immediately bowed and said, "Greetings Patriarch." Max's POV, a while ago, after his tier promotion, the pilot looked at Max with newfound respect and before dropping him at his requested location took a detour for Max to meet Rhea on a Black Dragon clan battleship. After Rhea had received news of Max's promotion, she had requested to arrange a meeting with Max as she wanted to assign a guard to watch him. News about his presence in the Dragon territory was sure to spread, and with the ongoing turmoil, Rhea wanted to make sure that someone whom Mira loved so dearly was well protected. While it was the main reason, the side reason was that she wanted to make sure Max did not betray her daughter, as for now she chose not to trust anyone completely, including her husband. There were too many betrayals recently, and a war was inevitable. Under such circumstances she wanted to have a suitable spy on Max's side at all times. Zippo was a special boy, he was the firstborn son of her cousin's sister and an extremely powerful warrior. Not only was he loyal to the Black Dragon clan to the bone, having received countless treasures from Rhea during his upbringing, he was very grateful to her as well. With him by Max's side she was not afraid of his safety even if he encountered a tier 6 god, as while Zippo could not defeat a tier 6 god directly, he could ensure Max's safe retreat under such circumstances. While Max was reluctant to sign the contract and accept a spy on his side 24/7, Rhea strong-armed him into signing while only giving him permission to alter a few details. According to the contract, the only time Zippo was to leave his side was when he was having intimate contact with women or when he needed to have important private conversations that nobody could overhear. Except those times, regardless of what Max was doing, he was to be with him at all times. /////A/N. Chapter 2 of 40, on a roll. /////. Chapter 360 Sam's Discovery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Apology note. Due to a mistake on my part, the sequence of the last 2 published chapters have been reversed. Sam St. Maximus's POV. Sam was convening his regular Elders' Council as they talked about the vampire monarchy and the standing of the St. Maximus clan as a whole. The agenda of the meeting was to discuss how the St. Maximus clan could rise from their rank at number 7 to number 6 during this time's evaluation and what areas were they lacking in the most. Sam, who sat on his throne listening to the council members speak turn by turn and engage in a civil and meaningful conversation, could not help but notice that one of his elders, Elder Gervais, had a particularly irregular heartbeat in this meeting. The St. Maximus clan's bloodline ability was related to superior hearing skills, and they had a subsequent spell that was only taught to the patriarch of the clan where this ability was heightened to the extreme. If Sam focused enough he could hear sounds from across the poles of a planet. However, he did not use this ability much as the noise would make him go mad. Nonetheless, even in his normal state his hearing was far beyond what a normal St. Maximus clan member was capable of, as he could listen to the pulse of every single member of the room and even the minute sounds of their muscles twitching. In his long career as the patriarch of the clan he had often heard the heartbeat of people who lied and were nervous, and he could clearly feel that something was off with Elder Gervais today, as if he was nervous to be in his presence. Sam smiled as he maintained his gaze towards Gervais, but the moment Gervais noticed that the patriarch was looking at him and smiling, he immediately averted his eyes so as to not look at him, as his already fast heartbeat increased even more. This all but confirmed his guess that Gervais had done something wrong and was now nervous that he was going to be found out. Gervais was a second-generation council member, who became the Minister of Internal Affairs, succeeding his grandfather, who served in the tenure of both Sam St. Maximus and his predecessor. He was a Tier 4 administrator who was known to be ambitious and ruthless, but nothing he had done till today suggested that he would betray the St. Maximus clan, hence Sam needed to be careful with his words. If he was nervous for minor affairs like money laundering or passing laws favorable to certain merchant groups, Sam would not mind it much, but if it was treason, then he needed to crack down on it immediately. Elder Gervais, let's have a private conversation in my quarters after this meeting is over. I wish to discuss something with you, Sam said abruptly in the middle of the meeting as everyone's gazes turned towards Gervais. Gervais started to visibly sweat as he stuttered to reply, "Why? Yes, my lord." Sam let the matter slide after that as he waited till the end of the meeting for Elder Gervais to enter his quarters before starting his line of questioning. "Do you want wine?" Sam asked as he poured himself a cup. No, Gervais answered, biting his tongue for stuttering again. Gervais was very nervous, he was practically asking to be sniffed out. "This next evaluation must be tough on you, no?" Sam asked in a sympathetic tone. Serving the clan is my greatest privilege," Gervais answered lightly as Sam heard his heartbeat fluctuate slightly. Good, we need honest men like you," Sam said, putting emphasis on the honest word as he saw Gervais develop goosebumps on his skin. For a moment the atmosphere was awkward as Gervais stared into Sam's eyes and realized that he knew about his crimes. At this moment he only had two options, fight or flight, and he knew he could not flee from Sam within the palace, so the only option he had was to fight. Pulling a poisoned dagger out of his inventory, Gervais charged at Sam, but the god only sighed as he slapped the dagger out of Gervais's hand before bitch slapping him in the face. Slap! Gervais spat a mouthful of blood alongside two teeth as his right cheek got completely swollen. He was an academician by class and not a warrior, so while he was at Tier 4 he did not have the subsequent physical build to support it. Pulling him by his hair, Sam cruelly stared in his eyes as he let some of his godly aura seep out. Gervais began to tremble as he subconsciously peed a little. He knew he was royally fucked now. "What have you done? Don't you dare lie to me, boy," Sam said emotionlessly as Gervais began to confess straight away. A while later, Sam had a headache with Gervais's betrayal as he launched an instant operation to deal with all the spies planted within the St. Maximus clan working under Gervais. In 1 short hour, 23 government officials from all levels of administration were arrested as a scandal that rocked the entire St. Maximus clan to its core was exposed. Although Sam wanted to kill Gervais and the others, his rational side knew that he needed to interrogate and understand what all of them knew before sentencing them to death. Currently his biggest headache was about the leak of planet green soil, as while Gervais did not know about the creation of primordial vampire in that lab, he did know about Max being the brother or Rudra Rajput and the subsequent chaos that ensued. If this information had already been passed to Caesar clan, then Max would be in a shitload of trouble, and by association so was the St. Maximus clan. In the first place, Sam never wanted Max to roam free in the universe, since if his existence was ever discovered by Regus Aurelius it would be the last day of the St. Maximus clan, but his brother forced Sam's hand to sign a contract and let him live a free life. BVEC now, for better or for worse, his fate was tied with the boys and he needed to protect him from the fallout of this leak within his own house. //////A/N Guys, I've lost my mind and have decided that there will be anarchy for the next 10 days till the month ends. The goal is 4 chapters each day for a total of 40 chapters. It's an impossible target, but I'm determined to achieve it. All I ask for in return is to keep motivating me in the comments. This is chapter 140th, let's go. //////.